It is International Fight Week, and that means that it is also Joshua Van Fight Week, boys. It hasn't even been a month since the last Joshua Van Fight Week, but it feels good because our boy, the fearless Joshua Van, is getting ready to chin Brandon Royval. We'll talk about that fight a little bit later, but what I want to do today is predict the UFC 317 card, excluding the main event, because I predicted the main event yesterday or a couple days ago. Make sure to go check out that video. And I know I'm a little late, dude. I know this video is going to come out like the day before 317, so I don't assume it's going to get a lot of views, but I've just been really inconsistent and not really motivated to do this. But let's talk about it, dude. International Fight Week. We're going to have some fun predicting this card. Obviously, main card only. You guys don't really care about any of the other fights, but let's talk about it. The first fight to open up the main card, Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Not going to talk about this one for too long because I'm not a super hardcore on Felipe Lima. I mean, I've watched some of his fights before. I think I watched his fight at UFC Tampa a couple months back, or I guess now it's been 6 months since that fight, and that was a really good fight. He won, obviously, a decision, I think, and before that he beat Naimov by submission. He took that fight on short notice, up a division, or maybe even 2 divisions. And obviously Peyton Talbot, the kid's gay. There's no other way to put it. He got absolutely humbled by Raoni Barcelos. That was kind of a feel-good win for all the MMA fans. Raoni Barcelos just put it on Peyton Talbot, dude. And Peyton Talbot, we're going to see how he responds to that loss, if he still is just not the prospect, not the guy we all thought he is, or if he can go in there and get a round 1 knockout over Felipe Lima. And my prediction for this fight is going to be Peyton Talbot, dude. I think you guys are all forgetting who Peyton Talbot is. I think Peyton Talbot's going to be able to control the distance. He's going to be able to control the striking. I think his takedown defense is just going to be able to hold up. I think that was just simply an off night at UFC 311 in January, and I think he's going to prove that. I think he's going to look sharp. He's going to look fast, and we're all going to hop on the Peyton Talbot bandwagon again after this fight. If he loses, dude, his career is not in a good situation. 2 back-to-back losses after being one of the most hyped-up prospects in the UFC. So let's hope Peyton Talbot does not get another loss on his record. Felipe Lima, I understand you're kind of on your way up too. You're a hot prospect, but Peyton Talbot, dude, this kid's a star. We gotta hype on the Peyton Talbot hype train yet again, boys. The next fight we do have Beneil Dariush versus Manny Moicano. Let me tell you something, dude. I'm excited for this fight, dude. Moicano, I love Moicano. And I made a video predicting that. I made a whole 10-minute video predicting this fight back at UFC 311 before it was obviously canceled. Obviously, Arman Tsarukyan pulled out. Manny Moicano stepped in to fight Islam Makhachev, and obviously we know how that went down. But yeah, I already predicted this fight. I did predict this fight, and my prediction was Manny Moicano. I think he was just going to be able to dominate him, and that is the first time around. How I seeing this fight going the second time around, dude, I think it's going to go differently than how I originally anticipated it. I don't know if Moicano lost so much aura when he lost to Islam Makhachev in the first round, dude. If the kid went even 3 rounds with with Islam, he would still be decently hyped up, dude. But the fact that this guy was running a 5-fight winning streak, we thought this guy would maybe be able to keep up with the top 5 of the division. Maybe he'd be able to pick up a sneaky little win over a Wash, Justin Gaethje, or maybe even a Gamrot. But now he's kind of he didn't even last a singular round with Islam. So is he really that good? Who knows, dude? I think that does a lot for his confidence as well. I think Moicano, the one we saw a couple months back, his confidence was real. His motivation was real. That whole gimmick was just him speaking from the heart, and now he's kind of forcing it now. Now at the press conference, he's kind of forcing it. He's trying to make it look like he's still motivated. He still thinks he's good. He looks like he's 50 now, dude. He's aged 100 years since his last fight. And I'm not as confident as I was in Moicano the first time around. I'm going to go with Beneil Dariush, boys. That is a hot take. I'm switching up my prediction for the first time around. I feel like Beneil Dariush, I think his fight against Gamrot is going to represent this fight a little bit closer. Gamrot was not able to take Beneil Dariush down. Gamrot was able to piece this guy up from range. And I hope Beneil Dariush isn't too washed. It's been a couple years since we last saw him. Obviously, Moicano is still pretty decent, but Beneil Dariush is my prediction for that fight. And moving on to the featured fight of the night, Brandon Royval versus Joshua the Fearless Van. And this is a banger of a fight. Let me tell you, kid, I'm actually a little bit more excited for this fight than I was for the original fight, which was Manel Kape versus Brandon Royval. Joshua Van, how do you not, listen, what's the question? How do you not love this kid? How do you not love Joshua Van? Joshua Van, one of the most active UFC fighters in the last year or so, and his last loss was to Charles Johnson a couple months back. Not even a couple months back, I think a year ago, probably to this day almost. He lost to Charles Robinson, I think, on the Tracy Cortez versus Rose Namajunas card, and that was a pretty tough loss, dude. He got chinned in that second round. I think he was winning the entire fight until that moment. So it sucks to see Joshua Van. But since then, dude, the kid's went on a crazy tear, winning his last 4 fights, all by dominant decision, or even his last fight, he did get a KO finish over Bruno Silva after knocking him down twice. Brandon Royval, obviously, this kid's coming off that loss to Tatsuro Taira quite a while ago. I think that was in October. It's been a while since this guy last fought. And I don't know who's going to win this, dude. I haven't even really thought about this fight. It's just such a hard fight to predict. I think it's possible that I can go, like, other than the main event, which I think is a lock. I think most of us know who's going to win the main event. It's possible that this card is one of the most 50-50 cards of the year. None of these fights are very easy to predict, dude. These are all very hard fights to predict. Joshua Van, I don't know if I can favor him. Joshua Van, he's one of my favorite fighters, and I think the world will be, the state of the UFC will be in flames. It will be in good flames if Joshua Van's able to pick up a W over Brandon Royval, because Joshua Van would cement himself as a true #1 contender. We'd finally have someone new in that top 5 of the flyweight division. Joshua Van has to win for the sake of the flyweight division, but do I think he's going to win? No, I think there's going to be a very close fight upon the 3 rounds, but I think the experience for Brandon Royval is just going to be there. He's going to be able to win most of the grappling exchanges. Yeah, that's another thing. I think Brandon Royval, he's going to be able to get this fight to the ground. I think at least once in this fight, he's going to be able to get this fight in the ground. I know that Joshua Van has, like, locked takedown defense, but even his last fight, he got taken down by Bruno Silva, and Bruno Silva is one of those guys who are a little iffy. I'm not saying Joshua Van has a bad takedown defense. He has great takedown defense even, but every now and then, something's going to happen. A takedown's going to slip through the cracks. Brandon Royval is going to be able to get this fight to the ground. I think he's going to be able to control him. He might be able, like, maybe even lock in some submissions, maybe threaten some submissions. Brandon Royval is too good, dude. The kid has been on a great winning streak lately. He picked up a win to Brandon Moreno. Obviously, he beat Tatsuro Taira in his last fight. I think he's good. I think it's time that we start, like, favoring Brandon Royval. In his last couple fights, he has been an underdog. Brandon Royval is good, dude. Joshua Van's good as well, but I have to go with the much more experienced fighter in Brandon Royval. Joshua Van, you're going to lose this fight by a very close decision. It might even be a split decision, but you'll be back, Joshua Van. You're 23 years of age. You have so much time ahead of you. You're like 15 years in the UFC ahead of you, and you're already like 7-1 in the company. Joshua Van, keep your head up. You're going to lose this fight by a very close split decision. And in the co-main event of the night, we have Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. Kai Kara-France, this little elf on the shelf. I'm not high on Kai Kara-France, and I don't think any of us really are. I think the only way that Kai Kara-France wins is just a knockout. And I don't think you can rely on that too much against a guy like Pantoja, someone who has shown to have one of the best chins in the UFC, someone who has proved that he can take these big shots, he can eat these big shots. And I think the last time he was even knocked down was against Figueiredo, you know. Figueiredo, that was a couple years ago, and that was just a flash knockdown. I think Kai Kara-France is really just going to have to get lucky. He's going to have to land an overhand right, because he's not going to control the grappling. He's not going to control the striking. He's just not that good. That's the simple threat. You look at Kai Kara-France, who his best win is. Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg also lost to Pantoja, you know, and I could argue that Steve Erceg was on his way to winning that fight against Kai Kara-France if he didn't get unlucky just backing up and getting chinned by Kai Kara-France. I don't think Kai Kara-France is that good. I don't like Kai Kara-France. I really am just going to hope that Pantoja beats that fraud come Saturday night, because I'm not high on him. He's not fun. He's ugly. He's weird. And I hate that stupid thing he does where he pulls his head back and sticks his tongue out. That makes me mad. Pantoja, I'm high on this kid. I've been high on this kid since 301. I know it might be a little bit of a bandwagon, but Pantoja's good. We need to put some respect on this guy's name. He should not be number 9 in the pound-for-pound rankings. With another title defense, that would be 4 title defenses. 4 title defenses. This guy should minimum be top 5. It's not ridiculous to say that Pantoja should be in the top 3 pound-for-pound rankings. I think Alexandre Pantoja is going to get this done by decision. I also think that other than the first fight of the night, Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima, this card will be filled with decisions. You know, obviously in the main event, probably we won't get a decision, but still, I already predicted the main event in a couple videos ago. Make sure to check out my prediction for the main event. It was a really good video, and that's going to wrap it up for today's video. That is my prediction for UFC 317. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you guys enjoyed this video, I'll see you in the next one. MMA Outpost out.